Welcome back. In the third session of cardiac embryology, today we are going to see development of aortic arches and its anomaly. First, we'll see the development of aortic arch. As you know earlier that the primitive heart tube is formed from the two endothelial tubes which fused in the cephalate portion and remained separated in the caudal portion. From there, two arches came out on either side, that is called the ventral aorta. This two ventral aorta goes behind and fuses with and forms a dorsal aorta. So we have a heart tube, aortic sac, and the ventral aorta and the dorsal aorta. This ventral aorta or the aortic sac will have a 6 pair of pharyngeal arches on either side. So we'll see one by one the derivatives of aortic arches. The first pair of the aortic arch on either side mostly disappear. It will form only the maxillary artery. The second pair also disappears and it forms only the stapedial artery and the hyoid artery. The third pair on either side, the proximal portion will form the common carotid artery and the distal portion will form the internal carotid artery. The fifth pair doesn't form any artery, doesn't contribute anything in vascular derivative. So fifth pair disappears. The fate of fourth and sixth pair of the aortic arch differ on either side and they are very important for the vascular derivative formation. The fourth pair on the right side forms the right subclavian artery. On the left side, the fourth arch will form the aortic arch. So the aortic arch in the proximal portion will be formed by aortic sac, middle segment by the fourth arch, and the distal segment will be formed by the left dorsal aorta. So we are seeing in the left fourth arch and the left dorsal aorta. The subclavian artery is formed on the right side by the fourth aortic arch, the right dorsal aorta, and the seventh intersegmental artery on the right side. On the left side, it is formed by the seventh intersegmental artery. The sixth pair on right side in the proximal portion, it will form the right pulmonary artery. The distal portion of the sixth arch on the right side disappears. On the left side, the proximal part will form the left pulmonary artery, and in the distal part it will form the ductus arteriosus, that is going to form the patent ductus arteriosus between the dorsal aorta and the left pulmonary artery. So we'll see that the first arch will form the part of maxillary artery and the external carotid artery. The second arch will form the stapedial and the hyoid artery. Third arch will form in the proximal portion, common carotid artery, and the distal portion it will form the internal carotid artery. The fourth arch on the left side will form the aortic arch, and on the right side it will form the proximal part of the right subclavian artery. The sixth arch on the left side will form the proximal part of the left pulmonary artery, and the distal portion will form the PDA. On the right side, it will form the proximal part of the right pulmonary artery, and distal part will degenerate. So let us see about the anomalies of aortic arch. The basic fundamental thing in the anomalies are either it is persistent patency or abnormal regression. If you see in this picture, this is the embryonic aortic arch, where there are two arches on either side, that is ventral and dorsal aorta, which fuses and forms the descending aorta. Here is the aortic sac. This is the sixth arch forming pulmonary artery. So this is basically a normal embryonic structure. Applying these principles, if we start seeing from next picture onwards, that is B, in which the right dorsal aorta after 7th intersegmental artery has disappeared. That means this leads to the formation of left aortic arch. So this is the normal heart. If we see here picture where it is the patent both the arches, and that will lead to the formation of double aortic arch. It is an embryonic structure. If you see this picture, in this the portion of right fourth arch disappeared between right 7th intersegmental artery and the right internal carotid artery. That leads to the formation of anomaly called left aortic arch with anomalous origin of right subclavian artery from the descending aorta. If we see this picture, it's a mirror image of C. Means a portion of left fourth arch disappeared between the 7th intersegmental artery and the internal carotid artery. So this leads to the formation of right aortic arch and anomalous origin of the left subclavian artery from the descending aorta. And if you see this picture here, the part of fourth arch, left fourth arch disappeared beyond 7th intersegmental artery, and this will form a ligament. So this will form a right aortic arch. So the aortic arch anomalies are classified in various ways. So one of the classification is like double aortic arch, left aortic arch, right aortic arch, and aberrant left pulmonary artery. So this is one of the classification according to the anomalies. Let us see the normal development of aortic arch. So as I said earlier, this is the embryonic picture of aortic arch where both arches are patent. The portion of right dorsal aorta or the fourth arch disappears beyond the 7th intersegmental artery, and the portion of right PDA, a sixth arch distal part, disappears. This leads to the formation of left aortic arch in normal heart. That is a normal development. If only the left sixth arch distal portion disappears and remaining portion remain as it is in embryonic form, it will lead to the formation of double aortic arch, which may compress trachea or esophagus. This double aortic arch will be of two varieties. Either both arches are patent and open, or part of the right or left dorsal aorta is fibrous cord-like. So this will lead to the formation of various types of double aortic arch. Now let us see the right aortic arch. Here, instead of right fourth arch disappearing, the left fourth arch distal to the left seventh intersegmental artery disappears, and this will lead to the formation of right aortic arch. This disappearance may be complete or it will be in the fibrous cord formation. So this right subclavian artery, this right aortic arch will be either complete or a part of it disappears between the left common carotid artery and left seventh intersegmental artery, which leads to the formation of aberrant left subclavian artery or the anomalous left subclavian artery from the descending aorta. So in left aortic arch, this is a normal pattern, or it will disappear between the right subclavian artery and the right common carotid artery, and this will lead to the formation of left aortic arch with anomalous right subclavian artery. So this is what it is. Instead of disappearing distal to the seventh intersegmental artery, a portion disappears between the seventh intersegmental artery and the right common carotid artery. This will lead to the formation of left aortic arch with anomalous right subclavian artery. Sometimes the innominate artery is in an anomalous position, which will compress onto the trachea. So let us see the anomalies of sixth arch. So this is the embryonic picture where there is a left distal sixth arch which is patent, and it is getting communicated with the distal pulmonary artery, right pulmonary artery. So, and the proximal portion of the left sixth arch on the right side disappears. So this will lead to the formation of right PDA continuing as a RPA and absent right pulmonary artery from the main pulmonary artery. Similar way, the sixth arch on right side is patent, but on the left side the proximal portion disappears and the distal portion is patent, which is getting communicated with the left pulmonary artery. So that means here the left pulmonary artery is absent from the main pulmonary artery, but this is originating from the left PDA or the PDA continuing as a left pulmonary artery. So both these anomalies are called distal ductal origin of pulmonary artery. This is right pulmonary artery and here the left pulmonary artery. So if you see, the pulmonary artery develops from the sixth arch. The proximal portion of the sixth arch will form the proximal left pulmonary artery or the right pulmonary artery. The distal pulmonary artery forms from the lung bud. So this on either side from the lung, the pulmonary artery comes out and it fuses with the sixth arch. So this is how it forms a pulmonary artery. And the right distal sixth arch will disappear and this will form the pulmonary artery. But on the left side, it will be patent and will form the PDA. As we saw earlier, that right pulmonary artery has formed normally, but the left sixth arch disappears and either of the PDA will be disappeared. In this scenario, this pulmonary artery will get elongated and it will have its own course and it will go behind the trachea and form the attachment with the right pulmonary artery. So this is called a vascular sling. So we have seen the various anomalies of the aortic arches, which consist of double aortic arch, the right aortic arch, the right aortic arch with aberrant subclavian artery, aberrant left subclavian artery, the left aortic arch with aberrant right subclavian artery, and we have seen the anomalies of pulmonary artery in the form of distal ductal origin of pulmonary arteries or the pulmonary sling or the vascular sling. Other anomalies of aortic arch develops, we will see one by one. Means here is the embryonic portion where this portion disappears normally. We have seen that the right fourth arch dorsal aorta disappears in all three pictures. The important thing which we are seeing here is a part of left fourth arch beyond the left seventh intersegmental artery is atretic or hypoplastic. This will lead to the formation of coarctation or the interrupted aortic arch type 1. If it is totally discontinuous, then it is interruption, and if there is a narrowing, it will lead to the formation of coarctation. So this is juxtaductal coarctation. If part of left arch disappears between the left subclavian artery and the left common carotid artery, it will lead to the preductal coarct, and the left subclavian artery is arising from the descending aorta. So this is type 1, this is type 2, and now if the portion of left fourth arch disappears before the common carotid artery, it will lead to the type 3 coarctation or the interruption, and this will form the coarctation of aorta, interrupted aortic arch type 3. So we can even classify aortic arch anomalies in the form of vascular ring or vascular sling. Vascular ring will produce complete obstruction of, or they will be like a ring form. So either it is a complete ring or the partial ring. The complete ring will be like double aortic arch or right aortic arch with anomalous left subclavian artery, anomalous left innominate artery, and retroesophageal ligamentum, or the left aortic arch with right PDA, right descending thoracic aorta. Partial vascular rings are left aortic arch with anomalous right subclavian artery or ductal arterial sling or compression by innominate artery. Vascular sling is anomalous left pulmonary artery. So these are the anomalies with their symptoms. Double aortic arch, which will compress esophagus, can be diagnosed in the esophagogram, anterior and posterior compression, or by CTPA nowadays. Right aortic arch will compress esophagus with the ligamentum arteriosus. Anomalous pulmonary artery, the barium esophagogram or the CT will be normal, only it will be compressing in a different area. It will compress the trachea. Aberrant right subclavian artery will compress the esophagus and it will be seen in a esophagogram or CT angiogram. So they are having, and vascular sling will produce indentation on the esophagus as well as on the trachea if it is present. It will form a strider. This patient will have a strider. So we have completed the embryology and its anomaly of developmental anomalies. I hope this classes would have helped you clear your concept of embryology of heart. Thank you.